Again to Spiti, our special edition right here on EWN. We are continuing with our coverage at the IEC's NEF Center, where all eyes, of course, are on the leaderboard. Some parties have started celebrating, and one of those has to be Aunty Pat, Patricia de Lille. Welcome to Spiti on EWN.
Well, thank you. I can certainly tell you I prefer the working and the campaigning than the waiting here. So I don't think we can celebrate yet.
But I mean, for a party that's 5 months of campaigning, you're already a seat in the National Assembly. You are between third and fourth in the Western Cape. Surely that's reason to say that you have managed to make it to the board.
Yes, I'm very grateful and I'm humbled because for us, every vote or every seat that we're going to get will be a victory because we started 4 months ago and we started building a foundation at the same time campaigning. If we do get into those seats, we will certainly go there with a mandate and represent the people that have put their confidence in us. So it's very exciting for me. It's like, I've come full circle in 4 months. I've learned such a lot. So especially the young people that I've been working with, I think we should listen more to them.
Is that where you're thinking your support is coming from? I mean, are you eating away at the support of the DA, or is this a new electorate that you think you are attracting?
No, we live in a multi-party democracy, and that is always a contestation of ideas. And what I've done is to put this idea in to mobilize good people, because if good people do nothing, you've got corruption, you've got all of these evil things happening in our country triumph. And that was the clarion call to South Africans, and they've not disappointed because there are many people who want to see our country succeed. But also we just did not repeat like the old parties, what are the problems in our country. We actually researched and we interviewed many people. We produced a plan how to fix South Africa. So it's a different approach completely. Because you also find that voters are sick and tired of hearing the same thing over and over, political parties fighting amongst themselves. So to me, it was not about the DA or the ANC or anybody. It was about mobilizing those people, good people that want to build a good country.
But also, there's also expected lower turnout in terms of people who did come out and vote. Surely that has to be quite concerning.
I must say I feared about this all along because wherever I travel, the length and the breadth of this country, 1 out of second person told me that they're not interested in voting because their vote doesn't count, nothing has changed in their lives. And even the polls suggested also that about 37% of people were undecided. And I spend a lot of time trying to convince people because I say to them, God forbid, 25 years into our new democracy, people feel like that. I want to get people, reignite that interest to people can have hope again, reconciliation. And this is the result, the lower voter turnout. 65% is the lowest ever in our democracy.
Yeah. And is it an indictment on the political parties that are existing? Or is it that 25 years into our democracy perhaps and the failure of governments to deliver is what has made people to say, would rather just stay and not go out?
For me, the indictment is on all of us. Because I think as leaders in this country, including the IEC, that we had failed to do voter education. The kind of voter education that the IEC will be doing is will teach you how to vote. If you make a cross wrong, it's a spoiled ballot. We need to go out and teach people why it is important to vote. And that we've not been doing over the past 25 years. And that's why you see people are getting disinterested in voting. So certainly we must start that. I will go as far as to say, can't we start even at school level, at high school level, and start talking about the value of democracy. And that if you want to bring about change, the only way you can do it is by your vote. I say to the young people, you know what, we must honor our past, we must remember our past, but we must also take this opportunity to design our own future. what is the future that we want for our country? And that's where the young people must lead.
Just as we wrap up, two questions. The first one is around, are we going to see you back in the National Assembly? With one seat secured. I mean, you're already over the 40,000 mark for the National Assembly.
Let me see, people are the whole talk about the bigger parties, to me, I've never been intimidated by size. In fact, I'm not intimidated by anyone, because to me, it's about the quality. I can be a lone voice. If I must go to Parliament, a lone voice, but I can tell you I'll make a much big difference than putting all of those big parties together. So yes, I look forward to going back to Parliament if that's what I decide to do. Because obviously we're going to assess our election results with the National Executive Committee of Good, and then we make a final decision. Yeah.
And then obviously yesterday you were praising things for the IEC when you were in the Western Cape in terms of the voting process. But right now there are all of these allegations of double voting, multiple voting, scanners that didn't work. What are your impressions now?
Well, I think like the CEO of the IEC said in the Western Cape yesterday, you will never find a perfect election. And for me, what is important is what will be the material difference or impact that these problems will have on the outcome of the result. If it's got a big impact in that it can alter the trend that we are seeing now, I would be really worried about it. But if it's not going to alter the trend that we are seeing now, I think it's just another lesson for the IEC, how they need to improve on that. As you know, the IEC was also faced with a strike just the day before the special vote had started. And yes, there have been problems, but I think in general, the results will be credible. And to me, the final outcome is important.
Well, thank you very much, Aunty Pat, and we look forward to your decision about whether it's the National Assembly or actually the provincial legislature. So that was Patricia de Lille, the leader of Good Party, just months of campaigning, and she could be back in the National Assembly, or maybe it's the provincial one. She's yet to decide. That was us for now. We will continue with our coverage from the IEC Centre.